Hey, I'm Taylor, and today I want to talk to you about how being vegan made it easier for me to become a Christian. So first, I would like to explain what the true definition of veganism is, because I find that most people don't actually know what it is. So if you come into a general search, what you'll find is what most often pops up will be this definition, which is a person who does not eat any food derived from animals and who typically does not use other animal products. And I find that this definition is inaccurate and also vague. So if you want to find a true definition of veganism, I'd say it's best to go to the Vegan Society. So Vegan Society or vegansociety.com. You can find the definition in other places too. It's probably the easiest. And you'll find that the real definition of veganism was coined, I believe, in 1944. So the true definition of veganism is a philosophy and a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, and any other purpose, and by extension promotes development and use of animal-free alternatives for the benefit of animals, humans, and the environment. In dietary terms, it denotes the practice of dispensing with all products derived wholly or partly from animals. And then it continues on and says there are many ways to embrace vegan living, yet one thing all vegans have in common is a plant-based diet, avoiding all animal foods such as meat, including fish, shellfish, insects, dairy, eggs, and honey, as well as avoiding animal-derived materials, products tested on animals, and places that use animals for entertainment. So that will get you a lot closer to the true definition of veganism. And so something else I would like to talk about is what veganism and Christianity have in common, at least as far as how people view it, view vegans or Christians, or veganism or Christianity. So one way they're viewed the same is they are often both viewed as being limiting. And some examples of this would be for Christianity, you can't partake in sexual immorality, so adultery, fornication, lust, which could be like pornography. You must avoid idolatry, stealing, murder. So those are a few examples for Christianity. And then also under veganism, so not eating animals, obviously, which vegans would consider that murder. Also, any byproducts of animals, not using any of those, and vegans would consider that stealing. So that would look like milk or honey. We would consider that to be stealing. And then not wearing whatever you like, so like fur, leather, snake skin. This also extends into beauty products, hair products, toothpaste, and also not attending zoos or aquariums. And so I know most people were not aware of that. So for me, then it wasn't difficult when I went into starting being a Christian, because all those things that people like they want to do, they want to like partake in their flesh. I was already used to. I already reaped the rewards of trying veganism, and where people think that's limiting to start, take away certain things that you're used to eating or used to doing. I'd already seen the rewards and the benefits of that, so I no longer really seeing it as something limiting, and seeing how much of a gift that can be to make a choice that involves someone else, something outside of myself. And so some of the rewards that I found when I went vegan are my improved health. So I was no longer nauseous every single morning. I no longer woke up with joint pain. I used to wake up with joint pain every single morning, or at least most mornings. I also experienced like better lab results, also experienced better like weight maintenance. So when I first started becoming vegan, I still did modeling, and so it was really difficult in the past for me to maintain my weight, like keep my weight good for modeling. And when I went vegan, like that was no longer a problem. The first week I went vegan, I lost 10 pounds, which I think for most people who know me, they would say like, "Oh, that's not good. You're already skinny." But it was like I lost it and then just maintained weight, and it was the weight that I wanted to be at anyway. Um, I also experienced improved energy. That was really huge for me. When I first went vegan, I was a raw vegan for the first year, about 11 months. So I loved having so much energy as a raw vegan. I still have more energy, I would say, but it's definitely different than being raw vegan. So another thing I experienced was confidence in making decisions for myself that's opposite of others. So this was like, for me, huge in terms of like going into Christianity, because it's easier for me to not be so concerned with the things that people say to me about it, where they don't agree. It's easier for me to just stand on like, no, I'm good, because I already did it I struggled when I first went vegan with that, especially when it came to social situations, going out to eat with others. I struggled with that when I first tried. When I first tried, I was really just trying to be plant-based. I wasn't even trying to be vegan. I was doing it for health reasons. And then later on, I eventually did it for the true reason, which is for ethics. I also had improved social skills, so going out to eat, feeling more confident, like speaking up about things. Whereas before, I hated it. It was so awkward for me. So it's the same with like Christianity. I'm a little bit more comfortable about just saying what I'm doing, not doing, what I'm interested in, not interested in. That helped me with Christianity as well. And new recipes. So, and I learned a lot of new recipes, and I also developed a better relationship with just cooking in general. Because before being vegan, like I didn't even like want to cook at all. Hardly. I liked it sometimes, but I cooked less before I became vegan. So another thing that Christianity, in my opinion, veganism and Christianity have in common is the concept of sacrificial love. So when I think of sacrificial love, what it means to me, I think of choosing what's best for me and or someone else over what I want for myself or someone else. So despite what feels good or seems good or tastes good or whatever, I'm making a choice outside of myself. To me, that's like sacrificial love. Some other concept of sacrificial love would be like selflessness and unconditional care, willingness to give up something for the sake of someone else. And another definition or viewpoint of sacrificial love would be practicing humility, kindness, forgiveness, and a willingness to serve. So if we break down each one of those, humility, it's a quality of having a modest view of one's value or importance. So I think this is huge in both veganism and Christianity, because for vegans, we don't put ourselves above another animal. So we don't see that, we believe that our lives are more valuable, besides individually, right? But a human life is more valuable or important than an animal life. So my desires, my wants are not more important than this animal's life and well-being. And also it comes down to respect. So in the sense of like, oh, eggs or honey, I think a lot of people argue that that's not harming, but also out of just respect. Like, this was not made for me. This is not meant for me. So I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna eat it, use it, whatever. And for Christianity, I think that's the similar way of looking at that is just not having a higher value over another person. And then also just knowing that there is a higher power, like a supernatural being, higher power outside of you. So you don't put your value or importance over another human. You treat them as you would want to be treated, and you don't judge another person, except for how you would want to be judged. So, and also kindness. So under kindness, we look at it's the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. So I think most most vegans would consider themselves to be that, and as well as most Christians would consider themselves to be that. Forgiveness, the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. So, and it's regularly practiced in Christianity, forgiving another, or also just knowing that you're already forgiven by God. And I think the way that this is practiced as well in veganism is just forgiving yourself. Like, if you mess up, especially if you're starting your early out, if you mess up on something, you accidentally purchase something that's not vegan, or you accidentally eat something that's not vegan, like just forgiving yourself, and just doing better next time. Now you know. And forgiving your past self. If you were not raised vegan, born vegan, then don't stress and worry, have guilt about what you used to eat, and move forward, make a change now, move forward. Okay, now we know what not to do, or we don't no longer want to do, so we're gonna move forward and be forgiving of ourselves, and definitely other people. I would say you have to practice that with veganism as well. Like, it's very interesting to me that there are a lot of people that talk about like preachy vegans or rude vegans. I'm sure people have experienced that. I have somewhat as a vegan. I've experienced that with other vegans, but not as much as I've experienced non-vegans being really rude, to be quite honest, and like inconsiderate. So, and I definitely was like, when I first went vegan early on, I was like so like excited about it, and I wanted to like talk about it, and I remember like getting cyberbullied online about it, and it being like a whole thing, which I didn't know, like there were so many people who are non-vegans that really hate vegans, or just are annoyed by them, but that was interesting. So just forgiving others for things they say and whatnot. And the last thing is willingness to serve. So willingness to serve is characterized by a readiness and eagerness to assist others. And I think that aligns with the vegan lifestyle, and as well as Christian lifestyle. That's the whole point. We have like a passion to assist other people most often, as well as like assisting animals. And most vegans have a kind heart towards animals and want to help them if they're in need. And most Christians have a kind heart towards other humans and want to help them if they're in need. So also to continue under sacrificial love. By being vegan, I choose to fight what's easiest and most accepted by the world, our fallen world, and by societal standards. So I think in Christianity, this is like sin over convenience. So as well with veganism, you deal with that. So I don't want to harm another being. I don't want another being to suffer. I don't want to be involved in that. I want to be involved in that as least as possible. And with Christianity, I want to flee from sin. I want to run from sin. And I think in both situations, you're fighting against convenience, you're fighting against the flesh, and that takes a lot of willpower and strength. So I think that is a very loving thing to do. When I was already doing that as a vegan, some aspects of that as a vegan, by fleeing, turning away from how I used to eat. I used to be a huge meat eater, like the biggest meat eater in my immediate family. So it's very interesting that, I became vegan. I used to say when I was much younger, I didn't even know what vegan was, but I used to say that I knew about vegetarians, and I used to admire them and everything. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that, cool. But I never thought I'd be disciplined enough to do it. And I definitely was pretty, I don't know how vocal I was, but I had very strong views about like eating meat. I was totally into it. And there's a lot of different types of animals I was okay with eating. Outside of cows and chickens and turkey. So for me, that took a lot. A lot of change. In the same way when I became Christian, I had to change it, and I couldn't just be like, oh yeah, I'm interested in this thing. Like, no, I took action. Right? It's not just you read what the Bible says, you actually have to do what it says. And so that was for me for Christianity. I wasn't going to just say I love animals. Like, I was going to act that out. So I did as much as possible. I remember one day, like, just looking at my dog and just thinking about how much I love her and how beautiful she is to me, and how all of God's creations are beautiful. So He's created all the animals on earth, and they're also beautiful. And when I looked at my dog, I'm like, the cow, she's no better than a cow or a chicken. I just, know her. And lastly, I was already used to the negative connotation that comes with being a vegan. So, like, I touched on this a little bit earlier. Vegans, you'll constantly hear like preachy vegans, but there's preachy Christians, or like you'll see people who have that mindset of, you eat what you eat, I'll eat what I eat. Same with Christianity, you run into, you believe what you believe and I'll believe what I believe. So as Christians, vegans, like, you don't have to necessarily, but you should fight that concept. Like, you have to find a way to navigate trying to educate people and trying to influence other people into what you believe, what you have a passion for. So if you're a Christian, we're called for discipleship, so you're trying to reach other people and tell them about God and what It's the same thing with veganism. Like, you have a passion that comes out of love, and you want to extend that to other people, because you're really trying to open them up to this other side, this beautiful side to it, that they don't really truly know yet, they haven't felt yet, because they're not living in that way. You'll hear comments, don't push your views on me. You'll hear that with veganism and Christianity, and I was already used to those things, hearing that through veganism. So then it helps me have a tougher skin doing Christianity to things that people might say against Christianity. So I think with both, you'll run into people that have like this kind of like, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, no. They don't want to hear it. They're just like, let me eat, you eat what you eat. I respect your right to be vegan, to respect my right to eat meat. And so you get similar thing in Christianity. I respect your religion, you respect me. I'm atheist, or I believe in this, I believe in that. Like, so you're a Christian, like, all right, somebody says that, like, you're gonna just give up, you're gonna just stop it. So hopefully you can understand, like, if you're a Christian and you're not vegan, then you can understand that similar concept, and because to me, I feel the same way. Like, I feel the same way strongly about veganism as like Christianity, in the sense of like, I shouldn't shut up. That's what people want you to do. Like, they don't want to hear it. But I don't think I would be a good vegan, and I don't think I'd be a good Christian if I did that for either. But yeah, a lot of people want to have like their head in the sand. They just want to have the blinders, tunnel vision on, and I get it. I wasn't like that as a non-vegan. Like, I remember I had a vegan come up to me when I was at my old job. My old job did not align with the vegan lifestyle, which it's hard to find that sometimes. But I was already working there before I became vegan. I didn't become vegan while I was even still there. I quit. I became vegan after I'd already quit being there. But anyway, I worked in a deli, and I had this lady come up to me who's vegan, and I'm actually friends with her still to this day. And she came up to me, she had like a pamphlet or whatever about like free range chicken. And for me, I already just thinking of like how companies operate and businesses, I already in my mind, even though I wasn't vegan, I thought like free range chicken probably like wasn't true. Like, it probably was a lie, or in most cases, like, I figured it's part of just marketing. And sure enough, she like came to me and telling me about what it really means, and it doesn't really mean free range like what most people think, or like what they put on the pictures of happy cows in this huge massive field and stuff like that. So happy chickens, and like, she was super sweet, super calm, like, not, in my opinion, pushy. She's just casually talking to me about it. It's kind of similar to like how some people will come up to you and talk about Christianity, but she was like super chill about it. And that's been my experience with like every vegan I've met in person. You can't compare people online to people in person, but I've yet to meet like a rude vegan personally, being a non-vegan and a vegan. I know people say that a lot. I think those people who are like legit rude vegans are just like that, in general. Like, that's just who they are. They just happen to be vegan. I really hate that people will go on like that. Like, the only thing that for sure vegans have in common is just that. So like, I've even met or seen online actually vegans who are racist, and I'm like, explain that to me, because like, that just because humans are animals. So well, there's a lot of vegans that don't really like people, which is quite interesting. I understand it to some extent, but it is quite interesting. I don't really, in my opinion, I don't think you could be vegan and be racist, but that's just me. So I think for both Christianity and veganism, you're called to make disciples. Like, you're called to enlighten people on what what you've experienced, how good God is, how good veganism is for you and others. Like, I think it's the same in Christianity. It's good for you and others, and veganism is good for you and others. It's good for the environment, it's good for animals, it's good for world hunger, it's good for feminism. Like, there's so many different ways to look at it, and at the end of the day, it's kind of fueled by the same thing. It's fueled by passion and love. So for that reason, yeah, going Christian and staying away from sin, like, for example, like, I'm celibate, and doing that, like, so much easier because I was already vegan. I was already like experienced not doing or not partaking. And for me, like, I remember earlier on when I remember like one day I'm like making choices. I'm like, okay, I'm like committed, and I'm making choices in the grocery store, and I reached for something that was vegan over something that was non-vegan, and it felt really, really good because I was then doing it for ethics. I was doing it for someone else. I felt really good about making my choice very early on. Like, I would just Yeah, I don't now. It's just I live that way, so I'm just used to it. But it felt good to know. Okay, I didn't, partake in by making this choice. I chose not to partake in cruelty towards another being, like just because I didn't pick that one item off the shelf. Now they don't have to stock that. Like that could have. I've worked in a grocery store before. I've done merchandising, and I've worked like in a grocery store as like a cashier, deli clerk, and stuff like that. So by me not taking that box, people think like, oh, you're just one person, you don't have any influence, but you don't know that one box could have made the difference in them ordering a whole another set. Like, but also it extends like beyond that, like you being vegan, then someone else, like you're gonna go out and you're gonna be around other people and like you're gonna have to turn down something that's not vegan. People are like, what? Why don't you want that? Blah blah blah. And then you're gonna have to be like, well, I'm vegan, and then they're just like, what? And people will ask you. Like I've had one person like ask me like, why are you vegan or whatever, and I think it's on an airplane or something, and I was like, well, because I love animals. And he's like, most people actually, when I say that, they actually get irritated. But for me, I feel like that says more about them than it does about me. So like, it's a very calm, I think, relaxed way of pointing out something so strongly by you're only stating something good and you're not being pushy. So it does kind of actually rustle feathers. But this one guy I talked to and said that to you, he was like, oh, he's like, I never thought about it that way. Like, I never thought about like if you love animals and you probably shouldn't eat them. And I thought that was pretty cool. And most people actually, when I say that, they don't like it. I had this one guy like get really ticked off, but he was also drinking. And he got pretty ticked off when I said that. But I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so now I feel good, about my choices that that I make. But yeah, you're gonna influence other people when you're. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna influence other people when you're going out, and then like they may want to look into it more, or that may make the difference in like a meal they choose. Like one of my friends, he's not vegan, but when he goes out with me, he always eats vegan. Like I've never tasked him to, I've never said anything. I don't, and I'm just, I even one time said like, you don't have to, whatever. I guess it's that nicety thing, because I'm just not used to people like giving a crap, to be quite honest. But yeah, he's like one of my very close friends, and like whenever he goes out with me, he does not eat vegan food. I don't know if he does it necessary. Like I don't know if he does it for himself, or he only does it like just to not eat it. I'm not really sure what his reason is, but like it's sweet. Like, and so like that's one less meal he had that had animal products in it. Or you could get on social media. You might inspire a ton of people that way. There's also a site called I don't know the exact site, but you can look at vegan calculator, and you can type in like by years and months how long you've been vegan, and it'll show you like your impact, like how much water you saved, how much grains you saved, how many animals you saved. So you do have an impact. You do make a difference as one single person, especially if you get on social media and you're talking about it. Freely the Banana Girl, she got like so much heat, but she's like huge in turning a lot of people vegan. And early on, like before I went vegan and when I was early on vegan, I watched her a lot. I know a lot of people just don't like her. They see her as abrasive, but man, I think she definitely converted a lot of people to veganism because like she wouldn't shut up about it. Like, and to be honest, like I love that. That's not my style the way she is, but like shoot. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to do this video to share and explain like another outlook into veganism and how it helped me being a Christian and affected me in my life, and it affects me even beyond that, as far as just being a more compassionate person, and I love it. All right, well, thanks. Till next time.